and see it some time this week." Lady Caroline frowned. This slowness in the uptake, coming so soon after her brother's inattention, displeased her. "No, no, no! I mean you and Maud have been talking to each other for quite a long time, and she seemed very interested in what you were saying. I hope you might have some good news for me." Reggie's face brightened. He caught her drift. "Oh, yes, I see what you mean. No, there wasn't anything of the sort, shape or order." "What were you saying to her, then, that interested her so much?" "I was explaining how I landed dead on the pin with my spoon out of a sand trap at the 11th hole yesterday. It certainly was a pretty ripe shot, considering. I'd sliced into this baby bunker, don't you know. I simply can't keep 'em straight with the iron nowadays. And there the pill was, grinning up at me from the sand. Of course, strictly speaking, I ought to have used a niblick, but—" "Do you mean to say, Reggie, that with such an excellent opportunity you did not ask Maud to marry you?" "I see what you mean. Well, as a matter of absolute fact, I, as it were, didn't." Lady Caroline uttered a wordless sound. "By the way, mater," said Reggie, "I forgot to tell you about that. It's all off." "What?" "Absolutely. You see, it appears there's a chappie unknown for whom Maud has an absolute pash. It seems she met this sportsman up in Wales last summer. She was caught in the rain, and he happened to be passing and rallied round with his raincoat, and one thing led to another. Always raining in Wales, what? Good fishing, though, here and there. Well, what I mean is, this cove was so deucedly civil, and all that, and now she won't look at anybody else. He's the blue-eyed boy, and everybody else is and also ran, with about as much chance as a blind man with one arm trying to get out of a bunker with a toothpick." "What perfect nonsense! I know all about that affair. It was just a passing fancy that never meant anything. Maud has got over that long ago." "She didn't seem to think so." "Now, Reggie," said Lady Caroline tensely, "please listen to me. You know that the castle will be full of people in a day or two for Percy's coming of age, and this next few days might be your last chance of having a real long, private talk with Maud. I shall be seriously annoyed if you neglect this opportunity. There is no excuse for the way you are behaving. Maud is a charming girl." "Oh, absolutely one of the best." "Very well, then." "But, mater, what I mean to say is—" "I don't want any more temporizing, Reggie." "No, no, absolutely not," said Reggie dutifully, wishing he knew what the word meant, and wishing also that life had not become so frightfully complex. "Now, this afternoon, why should you not take Maud for a long ride in your car?" Reggie grew more cheerful. At least he had an answer for that. "Can't be done, I'm afraid. I've got to motor into town to meet Percy. He's arriving from Oxford this morning. I promised to meet him in town and tool him back in the car." "I see. Well, then, why couldn't you—" "I say, mater, dear old soul," said Reggie hastily, "I think you'd better tear yourself away and what not. If you're catching the 12:15, you ought to be staggering round to see if you haven't forgotten anything. There's the car coming round now." "I wish now I had decided to go by a later train." "No, no, mustn't miss the 12:15. Good fruity train. Everybody speaks well of it. Well, see you anon, mater. I think you'd better run like a hare." "You will remember what I said?" "Oh, absolutely." "Good-bye, then. I shall be back tomorrow." Reggie returned slowly to his stone seat. He breathed a little heavily as he felt for his cigarette case. He felt like a hunted fawn. Maud came out of the house as the car disappeared down the long avenue of elms. She crossed the terrace to where Reggie sat brooding on life and its problem. "Reggie!" Reggie turned. "Hello, Maud, dear old thing. Take a seat." Maud sat down beside him. There was a flush on her pretty face, and when she spoke her voice quivered with suppressed excitement. "Reggie," she said, laying a small hand on his arm, "we're friends, aren't we?" Reggie patted her paternally. There were few people he liked better than Maud. "Always have been since the dear old days of childhood, what?" I can trust you, can't I?"
"Absolutely."
"There's something I want you to do for me, Reggie. You will have to keep it a dead secret, of course."
"The strong, silent man, that's me. What is it?"
"You're driving into town in your car this afternoon, aren't you, to meet Percy?"
"That was the idea."
"Could you go this morning instead, and take me?"
"Of course." Maud shook her head.
"You don't know what you are letting yourself in for, Reggie, or I'm sure you would not agree so lightly. I'm not allowed to leave the castle, you know, because of what I was telling you about."
"The chappie?"
"Yes. So there would be terrible scenes if anybody found out."
"Never mind, dear old soul. I'll risk it. None shall learn your secret from these lips."
"Oh, you're a darling, Reggie."
"But what's the idea? Why do you want to go today, particularly?"
Maud looked over her shoulder.
"Because," she lowered her voice, though there was no one near,
"because he is back in London. He is a sort of secretary, you know, Reggie, to his uncle, and I saw in the paper this morning that the uncle returned yesterday after a long voyage in his yacht. So he must have come back too. He has to go everywhere his uncle goes."
"And everywhere the uncle went, the chappie was sure to go," murmured Reggie. "I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt."
"I must see him. I haven't seen him since last summer. Nearly a whole year. And he hasn't written to me, and I haven't dared to write to him, for fear of the letter going wrong. So you see I must go. Today is my only chance. Aunt Caroline has gone away. Father will be busy in the garden and won't notice whether I'm here or not. And besides, tomorrow it will be too late because Percy will be here. He was more furious about the thing than anyone."
"Rather the proud aristocrat, Percy," agreed Reggie. "I understand absolutely. Tell me just what you want me to do."
"I want you to pick me up in the car about half a mile down the road. You can drop me off somewhere in Piccadilly. That will be near enough to where I want to go. But the most important thing is about Percy. You must persuade him to stay and dine in town and come back here after dinner. Then I shall be able to get back by an afternoon train, and no one will know I've been gone."
"That's simple enough, what? Consider it done. When do you want to start?"
"At once."
"I'll toddle round to the garage and fetch the car." Reggie chuckled amusedly. "Rum thing. The mater's just been telling me I ought to take you out for a drive."
"You are a darling, Reggie, really." Reggie gave her back another paternal pat.
"I know what it means to be in love, dear old soul. I say, Maud, old thing, do you find love puts you off your stroke? What I mean is, does it make you slice your approach shots?"
Maud laughed. "No, it hasn't had any effect on my game so far. I went round in 86 the other day."
Reggie sighed enviously. "Women are wonderful," he said. "Well, I'll be legging it and fetching the car. When you're ready, stroll along down the road and wait for me."
When he had gone, Maud pulled a small newspaper clipping from her pocket. She had extracted it from yesterday's copy of the Morning Post's Society column. It contained only a few words. "Mr. Wilbur Raymond has returned to his residence at No. 11A, Belgrave Square, from a prolonged voyage in his yacht, the Siren." Maud did not know Mr. Wilbur Raymond, and yet that paragraph had sent the blood tingling through every vein in her body. For, as she had indicated to Reggie, when the Wilbur Raymonds of this world return to their town residences, they bring with them their nephew and secretary, Geoffrey Raymond. And Geoffrey Raymond was the man Maud had loved ever since the day when she had met him in Wales. End of chapter 1.